we start with the triceps and the biceps. Where are your biceps? Anterior or posterior?
Anterior.
Anterior. And then the triceps are posterior. Okay. How many biceps are there and how many triceps are there?
2 biceps, 3 biceps.
2 biceps, 3 triceps. It's in the name, right? Tri means 3, bi means 2. So in the front here, this big bulge right here is going to be the biceps. There are 2 muscles here. You can see that because you can see that there are 2 origins, right? So you have your biceps brachii long head and biceps brachii short head. You have to write the whole name because that is proper naming for these muscles. For remembering one from the other, biceps brachii long is lateral. So if this is my arm, this is going to be more towards the point of the shoulder. This is lateral, so this is the long head. The short head is medial. Okay, so biceps brachii short head, biceps brachii long head. Okay, if it's closer to the point of the shoulder, closer to the thumb, it's going to be lateral. So when you flip over, you have triceps here. So this big group that's found right here on the back, opposite of the biceps, are the triceps. There are 3 muscles here. The medial head is this little portion right here. And the reason that it's medial is it sits most medial of all 3, but it's deep to the other 2, so you can only see a portion of it. This one is going to be more towards the point of the shoulder, so which one is this? Lateral head. So this is the triceps brachii lateral head, triceps brachii medial head. The third one is a very long muscle, so it is going to be called the triceps brachii long head. Okay, so long, medial, lateral. Okay. Then we have the brachioradialis. Brachioradialis means that it goes from the arm and it goes down the radius side. So one thing that's going to help you guys with the arm muscles is putting your hand into anatomical position and remembering which of your forearm bones runs along the thumb side and which one runs along the pinky side. Which forearm bone runs on the pinky side? The ulna, and then that would mean on the thumb side is the radius. Okay? So if you're looking for a brachioradialis, should you be looking on this side of the arm or this side? The thumb side, right? Because you're looking on the radius side, so you should always look on this side for the brachioradialis. Okay, that's going to help you a lot with the names for the arm. So remembering if you're on thumb side or pinky side for radius versus ulna. So the brachioradialis has to be somewhere on this side of the arm because it runs along the radius. The brachioradialis is 19 right here. It starts up here on the arm and it goes all the way down the radius. So this first one is your brachioradialis. This one gets very confusing when you're looking at photos because you can see it anterior and posterior. And a lot of people just get confused on which one it is, but this is your brachioradialis. Okay. Then you have the brachialis. The brachialis is number 14 here. If you remove this whole big chunk of muscle that makes up number 14, this is the brachialis. Okay. So then we have 4 muscles that are called the pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. And I have them in a specific order that makes them easier to remember. And the reason that it makes them easier to remember is that if this is your arm, you take the opposite hand, tuck your thumb, put your thumb against the medial epicondyle, and then lay your hand down, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are these 4 muscles. You remember them as pass, fail, pass, fail. P, F, P, F. Okay? This is going to pronate your arm. So this is your pronator teres. This one runs thumb side. What muscle is thumb side? Or what bone is thumb side? The radius. This is your flexor carpi radialis. This one goes straight down to the palm. This is your palmaris longus. Okay? Last one here runs pinky side. What bone is pinky side? The ulna. So then this is the flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay. Then we have the flexor digitorum superficialis. Since it's superficial, that means that you can see it superficially. You have identified these 4 already. This is the last one that you can see superficial on this anterior compartment in the arm. Okay? So this one that you can see anterior is going to be the flexor digitorum superficialis. Okay? You can see it here. And also, if you remove this, you can see part of it up here. And it's basically this muscle that's right here on the back. Okay? And then we have the deep muscles. For the deep muscles, you have this one here, which is the flexor pollicis longus. And then you have the pronator quadratus. Pronator quadratus is here. This is the only portion of the pronator quadratus that you can see. The pronator quadratus goes all the way across the wrist, but these tendons and nerves and everything have to be cut away for you to see the rest of it. So just this little part is the pronator quadratus. Okay? And this is the pollicis longus, flexor pollicis longus. And then another thing, a lot of people get mixed up on the names for flexors versus extensors. What is flexion? It's decreasing an angle. So if you bring your arm closer together, you're decreasing this angle. So any of these muscles are going to be doing flexion. If you are increasing the angle, it is extension. Okay? So your extensors for your arm are on the back, and your flexors are on the front. Does that make sense? When you get to the leg, which way does it flex? Forward or back? Back. So where are your flexors going to be, on the front or the back? Back. So when you're at the arm, flexors are anterior, extensors are posterior. When you get to the leg, your extensors are anterior and your flexors are posterior. And this has to do with what action they're doing, right? And where your joint bends. All right, so then we have the extensors. You have this muscle, number 19. Use this one first before you start doing your extensors. This one we've already identified. This is the brachioradialis, right? So if this is the brachioradialis, it cannot be any of your extensors. So you're going to start with your extensors. You can kind of identify them in the same order that you do for your flexors. You have this one that runs along the thumb side, which is going to be your extensor carpi radialis. You have this one that goes to all of the digits of the hand. You don't have a palm on the back of your hand, so you can't have a palmaris back here. So this one is going to be your extensor digitorum. And then you have this one that runs pinky side, which will be your extensor carpi ulnaris. Okay? And then you have a deep muscle for the back of the arm. The deep muscle for the back of the arm is going to be this muscle here, which is the supinator. Okay? And a bunch of, like, one of the muscles you guys have to label for your lab, I think, is the anconus. The anconus is right here. This is the supinator, though. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not the anconus. The anconus is back here. Perfect. Take the anconus, which is why it's not on your list. It is the bane of my existence. This is the supinator. I have to look it up again. I don't usually look for it. All right, so the anconus is, oh no, the anconus is superficial. What am I doing? So this is your supinator, which is deep. The anconus muscle is back here, the elbow. It's superficial. But you don't have the anconus on your list, so don't worry too much about that. But you do need to find it for your lab. So the anconus is this superficial one right at the elbow. And then...
Can you continue? Continue reading. Regardless.
And then we have the leg. So for the leg, there are a lot of muscles. Some students come up with like mnemonics to help memorize things. One mnemonic that a student made is called Sip a Latte. And so you start with the sartorius, and then you go to the iliopsis, the pectineus, the adductor longus, and then you end with the tensor fasciae lata, or latte is how a lot of people say it, so that you get sip a latte. You can come up with whatever you guys want to remember these. This is the gracilis, and the thing that I heard from our lab technician was they remembered it by, if somebody touches you here, you say gracias, so this is the gracilis, right here on the inside of the thigh. Yeah, inappropriate, always the best. All right, so then we have a lot of muscles that are hard to find here. We start with the iliopsis here. This is the only portion of the iliopsis, or I say iliopsis so that I can remember how to spell it, but it's iliopsoas. The P is silent. So I recommend saying things the way that you can spell them. That's how I do it, so I still revert back to that. But this is your iliopsoas. This is going to be like a huge muscle up here, but you can only see this portion of it. This is your pectineus because it goes to your pelvic area. So this is going to be the little pectineus, just this little triangle here, and then the iliopsoas. Okay? And then you have the sartorius, which for some reason, I have no idea why, every single quarter, this is everyone's favorite. I don't know if it's like the easiest one to remember or something, but this is the sartorius. Everyone loves it. This is the favorite child right here. This is the sartorius. Okay? And then you have the gracilis here. Somebody touches you here, you say gracias, so then that's the gracilis. And then you have your quads and your hamstrings. For your quads, how many should there be? 4. There's 4 in a quad, right? For the hamstrings, I said this vaguely during lecture. How many little pigs are there? 3. And what do pigs make? Huh? Ham. Ham, right?
Did you say houses?
I mean, they do.